Hey guys, I got a few minutes before I can get into this first stop of mine, so I just wanted to update you. A lot of you guys were emailing me asking what happened to Reason and Theology. I was supposed to be on last Thursday, and Michael got really busy and asked me if we could move it to this Thursday, which I did, and then got an email when I got home from work last night that he asked me again, if it would be okay to move it. So we're working out that date. Probably in a week or two I'll be on it. But I kind of had a feeling when I seen the Vigano news break yesterday, because I know Michael's on it, and I'm thankful, and I think he made the right choice, because he really needed to address this. So he can have me on anytime, but this was real time. He needed to address it, especially when, Marshall already was out there, throwing his lies out, so he had to correct the record. So I'm real happy it went down that way, and we'll probably discuss it when I go on. I'll give some of my views. But if you're not familiar with what's going on with Vigano, or if you want to hear the blue collar take on this, I actually just took down some community comments and newspapers article I had about Vigano, because I'm like, all this negative news is taken up, so I wanted to put up some positive videos. I put up an awesome video of a priest in my parish, Father Blake Britton, teaching about the Mass. An old video I did with Father Iannuzzi, because I had such a great response with the new video I did with Father Iannuzzi. So I was trying to keep it positive on there. And so then the news broke about Vigano, and I went to look for that article. And when you Google Vigano, it's all about the recent stuff. But I'm gonna address that article I'm talking about in a minute. But I just wanted to say, Michael's analysis was excellent. Check it out. He did it yesterday live, and I kind of had a feeling like I was waiting for that email, and I was even going to email him, say, hey, are we on? But I said, oh, he'll let me know. So, I came home, I showered, shaved, got ready. Shaved for nothing. No, just kidding. I needed a shave. But, and then he asked me would it be okay because what was going on. But I kind of figured, and I said, yeah, no, do your thing. We appreciate the hard work you're doing. And he does do a lot of, I laugh at some of these guys, some of these other YouTubers, they do it full time, and they'll make like 1 or 2 videos a week. And I'm like, man, what a freaking life of Riley. But Michael, man, he's like doing like 3 or 4 videos a day, man. And these are live streams. And if you watch his videos, he puts a lot of research into them, So I'm like, this guy's like, he's really full time, like working overtime for us, getting the news out. So I'm glad he did that last night. I kind of compare him like Trump and Biden. Biden will do 3 rallies a month. Trump will do 3 rallies a day. So I appreciate Michael Lofton over at Reason and Theology, and I look forward to when we finally do get to meet in person and talk. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. But the way I see this, if you're not familiar with Vigano, he came out. I got introduced to him by my Protestant friends. My Protestant friends love Vigano just as much as they love Marshall. They always bash the church, and they're like, well, Taylor Marshall said your Pope's a heretic. Vigano said your Pope's not even the Pope, So like the devil uses these 2 guys more than James White, Jack Chick, or any other Protestant apologist to bring people out of the Catholic Church. And it's the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. And the love of power, Power is even more, because Vigano's a millionaire and Marshall's a millionaire. So I don't know how much more money they want. So it's like the power and the steam, I think, these people get out of this, because they say provable lies, but they have their sycophants that, they live in the bubble. So they think everything they're saying is true, And Vigano's a proven liar in court, in the court of law, in the court of Italy, in the court of Swiss. He was found guilty of defrauding, in Italy, defrauding his brother out of $2 million. And under court, they basically told him he had to pay over $2 million, and he didn't appeal it because he knew he was caught. And his brother, under oath, said that, they got $7 million cash. He said his brother's worth like $22 million or $24 million. Vigano, Archbishop, or probably not anymore after yesterday, Vigano, Carlo Viganos, was worth like 22 million, according to the court. They got $7 million cash, and then they made like $4 million in an investment that he stole it all from his brother. He was supposed to give him $2 million, and he stole it all. And then under oath, Father Lorenzo even said he lied to Pope Benedict and told Pope Benedict he needed to stay in Rome because he needed to take care of his brother, Father Lorenzo, who was sick. Father Lorenzo said that was not where I lied. I was in Chicago. He said my brother's a liar. And then the same thing happened in a Swiss court. So it's not just like Italy was against him. In a Swiss court, they found him guilty of stealing $200,000 from his sister, Rosanna. So this guy's a thief. He's a liar. You know, years ago, I did a video how he covered up. And these guys project whatever they do. They project it on other people, just like the left, Marshall and Vigano will use left-wing tactics all the time. So he covered up for this bishop. I think I wrote his name down. Oh, what's his name? Neistat or something? It was like in Virginia Beach. He was a bishop. Barry Neistat. He was a bishop in Virginia Beach. And this is when Vigano was nuncio, and the Vatican asked him to investigate this guy, and he squashed the investigation. Supposedly this guy was covering up for some sexual abuse that was going on, and gay sexual abuse, and Vigano covered up for him, and then it came out later, and the guy had to, the bishop had to resign. That was Bishop Neistat. And then Michael Lofton, speaking of Michael Lofton, did a great video the other day how he covered up for McCarrick. Vigano covered up for McCarrick. It doesn't surprise me. This is how these scoundrels are. And he had the receipts, and that's what I'm saying. He does the research. Like Marshall yesterday said, oh, he didn't know nothing about it. He just got on because he wanted to get clickbait, you know. So he was just giving his commentary. He had no idea. He didn't even know that Vigano went there, because I don't know if he went or not, and it was already done. He went, you know. So, but in contrary to that, Lofton had the receipts about Vigano. He had Vigano on record praising McCarrick all during this, when he was supposed to be investigating him, letting him travel when Pope Benedict told him not to. And then when it was all came out, because it came out in 2018 or 2020, when it all came out, when they started doing the report, and he knew the report was coming out, he freaking said Pope Francis covered for McCarrick. Pope Francis is the one that laicized McCarrick. Pope Benedict didn't laicize McCarrick. Pope Francis laicized them. So Pope Francis is the one that disciplined them. Vigano was the one that was covering for the scoundrel. You know, this is what these scoundrels do. They lie. He's a liar. And so anyway, I did a video and I posted on my community board a few months ago that I seen a video from the Resistance. The Resistance is this really wackadoodle cult. They think they're Catholic. They broke away from the SSPX because although they agree with the SSPX that Vatican II is, they reject Vatican II, and they both, the SSPX that Taylor always brags about is wonderful, and the Resistance both agree that the ordinary Mass, the Missal Rite, that 95% of us Latin Rite Catholics participate, they say it's intrinsically evil and it's a sin to go there. They tell their people, don't go. Even if you got to miss Mass, don't go, which that's a mortal sin, to purposely miss a Mass, your obligation. So they agree with the SSPX cult on that, but the Resistance cult took it a step further and said Pope Francis is not the Pope, so they're sedevacantists. So that's where Vigano is. He's like worse than the SSPX. So Vigano said Pope Francis is an antichrist, just like Lefebvre said Pope St. John Paul II was an antichrist, just like Martin Luther said the Pope at his time was an antichrist. There's nothing new under the sun. Satan uses these schismatics the same way. They say the same garbage. And then you have the same foolish people that follow them and leave the church, you know. And that's the sad part, because misinformed people believe Pope Francis is a bad pope. Just like the Lefebvre followers thought Pope St. John Paul II was a bad pope, and even Marshall talks about him like he's a bad pope. And a lot of people left the church. A lot of people left the church and joined the SSPX. And they have no canonical status. They're an illicit group. Their Mass is illicit, you know. And these same people that follow Lefebvre, they hated Pope St. John Paul II, and John Paul II became a saint. These same people that are following Vigano they're going to be pretty upset when Pope Francis becomes a saint. And that's my, I don't know this, I don't have any insight to the Vatican. I don't know anybody in the Vatican, but just from my observation, I believe, my personal opinion, that Pope Francis is a living saint and he'll be canonized one day. And all these guys following Vigano, they'll just be like the SSPX guys or the old Catholics from the 1800s. So you had a schism in 1800s. I forget the guy's name. That's another excommunicated Catholic that a bunch of people think is a saint, like the SSPX thinks Lefebvre's a saint. And like, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of resistance guys calling Vigano a saint, they're going to be gone and forgotten. In the Catholic Church, the oldest institution known to man will keep going because Jesus Christ promised us the gates of hell will not prevail. And that's what makes us different between the Protestant Christians and Catholic Christians. We believe Jesus when he said the gates of hell will not prevail. And our Pope and our magisterium cannot teach error. That's a basic Catholic belief. So these people that think they know better than the Pope, we need to pray for them, because they're heading to hell and they're leading to hell. So yesterday, Vigano in his statement said, Marcel Lefebvre, he said, just like Marcel Lefebvre, his defense is mine, his words are mine, and his arguments are mine. So basically, he wants to be another Lefebvre where people, worship him like he's a saint. That he's a narcissist. He's, like I said, he's a multimillionaire. He's very sneaky. He's a liar. He's a snake in the grass. He's wicked. He needs to repent. And my Protestant friends love him. And one of my Protestant friends was Trumper like me. He's like, oh man, this is back. I guess it was 2020 maybe. That election, he's like, oh man, I love you. And he's a Protestant, and he doesn't like the Catholic Church. He's like, oh man, I found a bishop I like, this guy Vigano. And I think that's when I got introduced to him, and I listened to him. I said, yeah, I like his, yeah, of course he supports Trump, that's awesome, but I don't know, this guy sounds weird, like something ain't right, something's off with this guy. And then I researched it, and I found out he was a scoundrel covering for this Barry Nista bishop. He was a scoundrel stealing money from his brothers, and his brother even said that he was worried that people were going to find out how rich he was. He's like, I want to be a cardinal, and if the Pope finds out, I'm worth $22 million, that kind of looks bad, because Pope's all about being poor. He's going to wonder why I don't give my money to the poor, that I just keep hoarding it and stealing more. This is the guy Taylor Marshall thinks is a saint, Vigano. So Taylor Marshall goes on yesterday saying he knows nothing about the situation, and by now he probably got over 100,000 views. Nothing about the situation, talking about how wonderful Vigano is, how wicked Pope Francis is, how wonderful Marcel Lefebvre is. And Marcel Lefebvre was another scoundrel. I made a video, I think it's called, was Marcel Lefebvre was gay. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the hate mail I got from the SSPX guys from that? Can't even repeat some of the stuff they called me, They're very, very vulgar, They're not really walking in the spirit, obviously. But I asked the question. I'm not saying Lefebvre was gay. I'm just saying it's a fact that he was very fond of an openly gay priest named Carlos Viganos. And, I've never, I know we're supposed to love everybody, every sinner, but I've never been fond of a gay man. And I don't know any of my straight friends that were fond of a gay man. So I'm not saying he's gay. I'm just saying it's weird to be fond of an openly gay man, like really, really fond of this young man. He really liked him. Just kind of weird to me. But I did a video in that video, I gave all the names. I don't remember. But like several people came to Lefebvre and told him, Mr. Grati's a homo predator priest. You got to get rid of this guy. You can't ordain him. In seminary, he was like messing with little kids, And instead of Lefebvre and Bishop Williamson, also, he was another SSPX guy, right? Williamson. Instead of them getting rid of this guy, they ordained him. And Lefebvre said, just watch him like a hawk. Don't let him get in trouble. And they demoted or fired the whistleblowers. This is all factual. And sure enough, Urigati got arrested. This guy that Lefebvre was very fond of, Carlos Urigati, for raping little boys. So, these guys are all scoundrels. And this is why the pedophiles flock to the SSPX, because they cover for each other. Pope Francis ended the sexual abuse crisis in the Catholic Church. So all these pedos go to the SSPX. And I find them so many effeminate guys in the SSPX and these traditional things. And even Taylor Marshall in a recent video was saying when Pope Francis used the F word talking about gay people, he was probably talking about these effeminate priests and bishops. He said, you know, we got a lot of them in the traditional, they're called trad queens or something, I think. It's like a name. And he said, but you know, it's just the way they act. And according to Milo Yiannopoulos, who was openly gay, struggled with homosexuality his whole life, even though he's trying to be a Catholic, he can't overcome that sin apparently. He said he found way, like, it's like 100 to 1 gay priests in the SSPX than the normal Catholic, the Catholic Church. And he was the first one I heard talk about it, like trad queens or something. I think that's what traditional queens, and these are these priests that are very flamboyant and gay. You know, and I see that, like I know a lot of tough guys. I had a friend of mine, Dale Comstock. He's former Green Beret, former Delta Force operator, CIA Black Ops dude. I mean, bad dude, toughest guy I know personally. I know some Navy SEAL, former Navy SEALs, and just some tough guys from Newark, New Jersey, some gangster guys, and they don't talk about being tough. You know, it's like you hear all these traditional guys talking about, oh, we got to be more masculine. I never heard a tough guy even say the word masculine, you know, and they think being masculine is smoking cigars or drinking whiskey, whatever, to be cool. I don't know why they do it. Maybe they enjoy it. You know, I know a lot of gangsters that smoke cigars and drink whiskey, but they don't do it to prove they're masculine. They just probably been doing it since they're 12 years old. But, you know, just like these trad wives, you know. My wife, you know, we got married at 19. We had 5 kids, and, you know, she stayed home the whole time. They went out to work, you know, cooked dinner every night, cleaned the house. I came home, always dinner on the table. The kids always well behaved, you know. She would never dream of making a video saying what a wonderful trad wife she was. I think real traditional wives wouldn't have time to make a video about being a traditional wife. That's just me. I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but I'm just trying to be real here. But getting back to Vigano, I seen a video, and it was by a priest from this resistance cult, and he said yes. They asked him, and they're very sneaky, they're very ambiguous, and they always say that about Pope Francis, but they're the sneaky ones. Vigano is always in the shadows, always hiding, you know. And they said this woman asking Father Chazelle from the resistance. Has Archbishop Vigano been consecrated by the resistance? And he said every necessary step has been taken. So basically, was he reordained? Because they don't think any ordination from the Catholic Church that we belong to is valid. You got to be, you know, with these resistance guys. And so they said, was it? Basically, he said, well, he's been very close to Bishop Williamson. Bishop Williamson is that guy that covered for Carlos Viganos. He was real tight with Lefebvre. He has the distinct dishonor of being excommunicated twice. So he was excommunicated by Pope St. John Paul II for allowing Lefebvre to ordain him a bishop when JP2 said do not. And then he went begging, crawling back to Pope Benedict, begging that he would lift the excommunication. And Pope Benedict said, I'm going to lift this excommunication in hopes that the SXPX will come back into union with Rome, because they're not in union with Rome. Same thing that Pope Francis said when he gave faculties to the priests to hear confession. You know, I'm giving these faculties back in hopes that they'll come back in union, because they're not in union with Rome. But you know, you give them an inch, they take an arm, and they still bash these popes. So so he got his excommunication lifted, and then directly in disobedience to Pope Benedict, he ordains a bishop. So then he was excommunicated again. This is Bishop Williamson, who apparently has reordained Vigano as a resistance archbishop. And maybe they'll make him pope of their fake church. Who knows? Maybe that's the goal of Vigano, to be pope. So that's what's going on. And it's amazing because Vigano will say lies like, and it's been proven. Lofton proved it without a shadow of a doubt the other day. If you didn't see the video, check it out. It's from like 3 days ago, where he shows you the whole time McCarrick was supposed to be being watched by Vigano not to travel. Vigano was letting them travel. Vigano was praising them, hanging out, having drinks, going to parties. They were buddies. They were buddies. And Vigano keeps saying he left the church. One of the reasons is because Pope Francis covered for McCarrick when he was the scoundrel covering. And Marshall just repeats these lies. So Vigano lies and then Marshall swears to it. Both of these guys are scoundrels. Run from these guys. These guys are leading people out of the church and leading them to hell. They're liars and they're scoundrels, dissenters, schismatics. And I have people that like me, that watch me, and they'll call me and say, Rob, you know, you got to take it easy. You're going to hurt your channel going after these guys. I don't care. I work for a living. If you want to unsubscribe because I'm telling you the truth about liars, then unsubscribe. I don't care, you know. But I'm going to keep talking the truth until YouTube pulls me off, because we're getting into political season, so it's a good chance I'm going to get deplatformed. So if I do, check out Catholic for Rednecks. He's just like me. And, of course, Michael Lofton. And we're going to all keep defending the one holy Catholic Apostolic Church. And no matter what happens to us, Jesus promised that the gates of hell will not prevail. So God bless and stay Catholic.